Hi guys, my name is Beth Malatji and you are watching Start Me Up. In this video, we are chatting to Sandras Phiri and he's going to be chatting to us about his journey with startup grind and also what it's like to be in Silicon Valley. Hi Sandras, how are you?
Hi Beth, I'm alright. How are you?
I'm good, thank you for asking.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. So now let's get down to it. Who is Sandras Phiri? For people who've never heard of you, who don't know who you are.
Sandras is an inspirational educator. So mainly that's what I do. That's what I'm passionate about. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you founded a company called Africa Trust Academy.
Yes.
Right. Tell me more about that.
The Africa Trust Academy is dedicated to inspiring and educating people for economic transformation, and we focus very much on personal development and personal finance. And founded the company in 2009 with my wife, Lelemba, and then we called it Sandras and Lelemba Institute. Then in 2013, we rebranded to Africa Trust Academy, and that was the time when I actually quit my job to run it full time.
And then let's talk about the transition from quitting your job and running the company full time.
Yes.
What are some of the things that somebody should look at in order to be ready to say, okay, now I fully leave my full-time job and I'm getting into this full-time?
Yeah, I think generally there are two ways. One is just to cut the code and jump, hoping a net will appear, but
yes,
that is risky. I prefer the method that I took. It was to have something on the side that you're building up.
Like a side hustle.
Yes, so you have that, it starts building up. But if you keep it that way, it won't grow. So you can't have a big part-time business. That doesn't work. So you need at some point to actually decide and commit, say, look, this is what I'm going to do now. So fortunately for me, I had that business running from 2009, and I had a few things going. It was great. Then also, my wife had a job, so she had a stable job, which helped significantly for me to say, look, I'm going to do this. And
so would you say now it's better if you create a momentum over the side, and then before you can literally just jump into it fully?
Yes, in a way, because if you just jump into it without having created any momentum and stuff, it becomes really rough. And that's why you have people who quit their jobs and get into entrepreneurship, then go back again and get a job and just say, hey, what happened? But because the preparation wasn't right. So one other way of preparing for that is actually reduce your expenses. So a lot of people, especially in Johannesburg, you got your big cars and big house and living in expensive areas. And that is a trap that just makes you fail to make the move into entrepreneurship, because you're thinking, well, my monthly expenses right now are through the roof. If I quit, what's going to happen? So downgrade, just simplify your life. Have something that is like, if you need a car, really, it has to be like basic. And be okay with people say, hey, we're driving that car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Being okay with owning
That's
gas.
what I did, yes.
Yes.
So my family, my wife and I, I've always just had one car. And for the longest time, we started out with the Rental Beetle. That's one that leaks oil, the one with no radiator.
Okay, so now your academy, who are you attracting? Is it for everybody, or do you have a specific age, or do you have like a certain demographic that you are targeting?
It's really anybody that wants to know about money, personal finance. So we've done a lot of work in universities and in corporates, and that work is done now in 3 countries, in South Africa, Zambia, and Malawi. And then also I get opportunities to speak around the world. I've spoken in several countries now, but the range really is wide. So I've done programs in the townships, and I've done programs to very rich people. So the principles are similar. Find that what is different is mainly the examples. Then one of the tools that we use helps us significantly in knowing at what level somebody is. So you know that this level, you need somebody who's always getting worse and worse into debt. This is the message. These are the steps that you need to get out. And at this level, you got everything stable. You want something on your own. this is what you need to do that. So it varies, because the mistake that a lot of people, mentors and coaches make is to generalize. You say,
Yes.
you can do anything you want, but
Yes,
no,
they
you
give
can't.
you that motivation thing. That
Yes.
I always call it as motivation fluff, because
Yeah.
you know, telling somebody yes you can do it, but not giving me the tools, it means nothing. That's why they're saying, you know, motivation has to be planted every day. You can't tell somebody every day that you must do this, you must do that. Give me the how-tos,
Yes.
so that I don't come back to you and bother you all the time. Say, hey, can you please help me with this?
Absolutely.
You know, over and over again.
Absolutely.
And then now, what are the common challenges that you've realized while, you know, you've worked with people from all over the world? What are the common challenges that you've realized when it comes to especially wealth creation and making sure that people are financially literate?
I think the common challenges are people just think, I need more money. Okay, so there's that, like, okay, I can't do this because I need money. I don't have money because I need money. But then what you find is that money doesn't solve money problems. So you can, before you get any job, university, you're getting your allowance or your college, and you're saying, if only I had my own 1,000 rand, my life would be different, and you get your 1,000 rand. Thinking, if only I double that, I get 2,000, my life would be different. You get your 2,000 and nothing changes. You get 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, the people get paid 120,000 rand a month, but their money problems haven't changed because they just broke on a different level. And why is that? Because what changes that is their thinking, the psychology of it. So the program that we've designed addresses the psychology critically, because it almost doesn't matter how much money somebody gets given.
Yes.
If they don't have the right mindset, they'll just lose all of it and get worse into debt. But you have some people, they live in the township, very little money, and they're wealthy. They've got money.
Yes.
They do have.
Yes.
So it's not, and then other people complicate money very much. Like, I want to study this and do that in order to, but I find that from the programs we've done, what is critical is to just know that, where do I want to go first? So when you know your destination, then you can plan to say, okay, if I want to go to Mauritius, therefore I need to save up for a plane ticket or a ship ticket or whatever. But you can't, even if you invested so much in buying your own car, you will still won't get to Mauritius.
Yes.
So that happens when people start their careers. Unfortunately, it almost doesn't stop at what level. I ask kids who are much younger, ask them, what do you want to be? They're confident. They'll tell you what they want to be. I want to be a fireman. I want to be a driver. I mean, some funny answers like, I want to be a truck. And kids say, I want to be a lion.
Yes.
But they have the confidence to just say what they want to be.
It's allowed when they're at that age where you are just allowed to dream and just be whatever it is.
Exactly.
And then how do we plant that culture in our in our next generation to actually put them in the right direction so that they don't make the same mistakes that our parents had made or that we have made ourselves?
I think it's to just expose them to as much information as possible and to what's possible. So
You're right.
our parents did the best that they could.
Because
So
that's
it's-
all they knew.
Exactly.
Hey?
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're mistakes. Just like we as parents now are doing the best that we can.
With the
And with the information that we have.
yes.
Again, almost any child will say, like the majority of children have issues with their parents. Because they all just feel, my dad did this, my mom did this. Like, everybody in a way feels like their parents did a terrible job.
Until they get older.
Yes, and they do the same thing to their
Yes.
kids and just doesn't stop. But looking at it differently is that every parent is also just learning how to parent and how to raise a kid.
Absolutely.
And then you do the same and do that. So the culture of learning and also not trying to live your dreams through your kids. A lot of people say, no, I want you to do that. I want you to do that because maybe that's something I wanted to do, or I feel that's the way to go. But now the possibilities are endless. Like, you can make money in almost any career now.
Absolutely. You know, especially now with the internet, you can literally start making money overnight.
Absolutely.
You know, and then now let's talk about the startup grind.
Yes.
How did you get involved in that? It's an international initiative, right?
Yes, yes. So Startup Grind was started by Derek Anderson in Silicon Valley. He's a great man, and I got to know about Startup Grind through one of my mentors. So one of my excellent mentors is Roger Hamilton,
Oh,
the
wow.
creator of Wealth Dynamics.
Yes.
Talent
I
Dynamics.
absolutely look up to him.
Oh,
yeah?
fantastic! Yes. So I spent a month in Bali at his resort with him and learning from him. But at the end, he said, "Why don't you belong to Startup Grind? Like you start a chapter in Lusaka." I said, "Oh, great." And for me, I think I was a good student. Like I just follow what my mentor tells me. So he's got years of experience and knowledge. So I did that. I started the chapter in Lusaka. I'm running it for over 2 years now. Then from this year, I'm running Johannesburg as well. So Startup Grind aims to inspire, educate, and bring entrepreneurs together. And last year, I had the opportunity of speaking in Silicon Valley to
Wow.
3,000 people, and it was pretty amazing. And meeting Derek Anderson as well, and
Wow.
lots of other great entrepreneurs.
And how is the vibe? How is the energy in Silicon Valley for somebody who's in Africa? And we all look up to all those tech entrepreneurs who go to Silicon Valley to pursue entrepreneurship and get investors and all that.
Yes.
Is the vibe and the energy the same way that we read about it, in newspapers and magazines?
Actually, it is.
Wow,
It is.
okay.
It was unreal. Like, people are helpful. Everybody just wants to help you out. And you meet somebody and say, "What do you need? Well, how can I help?" So at first I was thinking, okay, maybe it's just
Too
this one
good to
guy.
be
Yes.
true.
And then it is consistent to say, okay, I can introduce you to somebody. Hold on, let me introduce you to this guy now. Oh, can you come and meet this guy?
So
and
things
it's like
happening
that. Things
there.
happen. So it's also like it's a great environment. And there you have, again, for a while I thought that certain things were from like African issues where somebody says, they just have an app, an idea, thinking, I want to do that, like another photo sharing app and stuff. But there are a lot. It's competitive, but also there's just possibility. And another big thing is that they don't look at failure as the end, like, oh yeah, Beth, you failed.
learn
Yes,
from
you remember
failure.
you failed in grade 3.
So it's more like learn from whatever it is that you were trying to do and how you have failed and how you can use it in your next adventure.
Absolutely, and that gives the experience, because what happens is, what do you do when you fail? And that's a good test. Like when
Yes.
you're down, are you going to get up or you won't get up? And if you haven't failed before, it's not easy to say what you're going to do, because everybody has a plan. Like Mike Tyson said, everybody has got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Absolutely.
And what do you do now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? One thing I take away from a lot of Silicon Valley entrepreneurs is your idea means nothing. The fact that you've got like a multi-million rand idea, it's just going to be an idea and that's it until the day you execute it. Would you say
Yes.
that's the same thing with what's happening there?
Yes, it's similar. Although, yeah, it's similar. And there they have, the difference is that they've got lots of money. So even here, I've just realized that even in South Africa, in Africa, there's lots of money. But the Silicon Valley has got more money, where they have people sitting with money saying, look, what are we going to do? What are we going to invest in? And then they're now looking for people who can make things happen. And you're right. When you just come with an idea, the idea in itself means nothing unless you are somebody great. So if Mark Zuckerberg went with an idea at somebody else, to say, oh, it's Mark, or it's Jeff Bezos, or it's Larry Ellison, anybody like that, they say, oh, because it's Beth, therefore Beth's idea is worth something. So you can get those kind of valuations on an idea if you have a track record of
Because
building
of who you are.
billion-dollar companies or million-dollar companies.
Wow.
And then also, the other side is that if you don't have that name, you need traction, or to show that, look,
or a prototype at least.
yes, I've
you
got
know?
this and people want this, look at how they're using it.
Yes.
And the models there that work, which are difficult to work here, is where you say, I'm not making money, I've got millions of users, I don't know how to make money. You say, okay, great, you are valued at 1 billion.
Yeah. So for somebody who wants to attract investments from like places like Silicon Valley, how do you prepare yourself? What are some of the things that I need to do in order for me to attract that level of investors?
Okay. It's more of networks. So it's similar, even here, it's networks. So it's really, what's your name, Sandras? Sandras from where? Zambia, South Africa. Okay.
What's your background?
Yes,
Do you
no,
have
it
any
doesn't
sort of
even go there. It's
background? It doesn't even go there.
Yeah, it's more of, do I know you? Where you from? So a lot of them would invest within the same zip code. So if it's outside Silicon Valley, again, they're like, even if it's in America,
Yes.
just use, okay. But unless they trust the person that introduced
you,
or
yes.
they trust you, you got that relationship, then now they can. But you need to also be very clear on what you're creating, what you're working on. And for most of them, they don't have a lot of patience, like most investors anyway. So you still need to get to the point very quickly and say how you're going to create value.
Awesome. And then now with Startup Grind, you always have this amazing entrepreneurs that you bring in, you know, all these influencers that are very hard to reach. How do you get to them? How do you approach them to come and speak at Startup Grind?
It's through networks. And I think like when we started the first ones, it was much harder because they're saying, who are you? Again, with traction, things get easier where you have people saying, I know this guy who would be great for Startup Grind. And the people who come also would recommend. And then sometimes we find other people like they've been featured in some amazing programs on TV or magazines. They approach them and they see that, oh, this is what you're doing. And they say yes. And a lot of times it's really dates that don't work as opposed to like, who are you?
Yes. And I think it always gets better if they say, oh, you have interviewed so-and-so.
Yes,
or you have brought in so-and-so. Okay, fine, I'll come.
Absolutely.
You know, and then let's talk now about what are some of the challenges that you had, you know, throughout your journey, and how did you overcome that?
Some of the challenges is like, there are times when you don't make money. And that's real. And entrepreneurship is rough.
It
you know, it's glamorous from people looking at it from outside. Oh, you guys are entrepreneur, your own boss, you determine your own time. You determine your own salary, which can sometimes be zero.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
And to actually make it work, it takes longer than you think. So I've had moments when things are going great and saying, okay, look, you get a deal here, get a deal. And then sometimes you have one or two clients that have made changes. So for instance, we did lots of work last year in universities, but with this fees must fall, then like almost half of the revenue coming from that dropped. But that was challenging.
Those are just external factors that you can't
but the biggest,
control.
I think the most challenging was when I actually quit my job after doing my MBA at UCT to now start. It was like, my income was dropped. And then that was the same time my wife's income like went very high and she was in a big position.
So it was a balance.
So the issue was more social than between us.
Oh,
so
okay.
people were like, hey, your wife makes so much money, definitely, and you're making money.
Yeah. So how do you balance? Because you said you work with your wife. How do you balance the relationship between your wife and you, and without having to disrespect each other? Because you know, when you are in partnership with somebody, there would always be disagreements there and there. There would always be a point where you don't necessarily believe in the other one's idea or strategies. How do you balance the two without having to dampen your relationship at home?
Yeah. So right now we don't work together. She works for a different company called Zona. And then how we balance it and how we still do balance it, like she's not formally part of the company, but she's still an advisor on the company. So I go to her like, okay, what do you think we should do?
Yeah.
So how we balance it, I think, has been, first of all, we're friends. We're very good friends.
That's amazing.
So we actually like to spend time with each other. And then both of us invested a lot of time in personal development. So like, when she spent time with Roger, I spent time with Roger. I spent time with Dimatini, she spent time with Dimatini, and all that. So we both learn about ourselves and learn about relationships and learn about business. And so we know that we love each other. Like if we do fight, it's just a fight. It's external to the love, you know what I mean?
Yes. I
And then it comes back, then we talk. Then,
Yes.
but there are certain moments when, because you're close, you're asking for advice because somebody has got the record. They might be thinking like, no, but it's the same thing that happened. Then we again regroup, like, look, this is different, and then say, okay, yeah, this sounds going to work. But we work very well together. Like even up to now, certain things you say, look, what do you do here? He says, oh, you can do that, you can do that. And then also with her, she says, what should I do? And then I help with stuff.
Nice.
So we complement each other.
And then mentorship.
Yes.
How does one become teachable? You know, you always hear people saying it didn't work with so and so mentor. Like you say, I mean, you've been involved with great mentors. I absolutely look up to people like Dimatini as well. I've spent time with him. He's absolutely amazing. And one thing I take a lot from him is the fact that he makes you understand yourself.
Yes.
You know, he focus on your values
Yes.
as opposed to what he think is good for you. So
Absolutely.
he actually makes you do an introspection in your life.
Like I'm not broken. I don't need fixing.
Exactly,
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with you.
Absolutely.
So how do you make sure that you are teachable and you know things work smoothly with your mentor without, because a lot of people, we think mentors are too harsh on us.
Yes.
Because they're telling us the truth. And
Yeah.
we're like, no, why are you being so mean?
Yes,
You know?
I think that teachability, a lot of times it comes from humility, but the humility for certain people, it comes after a fall. You know?
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
if somebody has been winning, or they always disregard their losses as blaming other people because they are like in the victim state, those people are usually difficult to teach. They are not teachable because they don't take responsibility.
True.
So it's almost like,
True.
oh, this, what happened? No, my client. No, the traffic. No, the weather. My child, my mother, it's never them. Those people, a lot of times it's like, they're not ready. So when I'm mentoring people for that group is the victim level, there's a report that you do. It's created by Roger as well, the whole spectrum.
Yes.
So you take that test and then you know you're victim. Then like, look, these are the things. So there's denial, there's blame, and the victim level. So this is what you're doing right now. If you want things to change, you need to do things differently. And then at that level, a lot of times people know everything. And they're the ones criticizing everything, giving opinions on everything. So there, you have to put that as a mirror and say, look, you're doing the same thing you've been doing. If you know so much, why isn't your life changing? So that if your mentor gives you that kind of feedback, it sounds harsh. But just knowing that, and then how to be teachable is really to know that I only know what I know, but other people know much more. And I can just tap into other people's ideas and intelligence and wisdom and
apply it into
shorten
my
them.
life.
You say that you learn from mistakes, but you don't have to make all the mistakes to learn.
Oh,
So I
wow.
tap from your experience, then I know, okay, next time I'll do this.
Yes.
Instead of trying to figure it out on my own, I have the best coach. So I pay for mentorship, then that way I shorten the process.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about wealth creation. How do
Yes.
you define your wealth?
The definition I like is by Roger. Again, it says wealth is what you're left off with when you run out of money. So he gives an example of sometimes like chasing wealth is like trying to chase butterflies. You have your little net and running around it.
Yes.
Says, how about you plant a garden and you have flowers and the butterflies start
Butterflies
coming.
will come.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then touching, or like in addition to that, again, by DeMartini, that life, you have wealth in all the 7 areas of life. That's my definition that I also like, because you can have spiritual wealth and you have mental wealth and financial wealth, physical wealth, social, family.
Yes.
You know, all those, they help you to have your balanced full life. But also I believe that financial wealth is critical.
It is.
Because a lot of times when people are not balanced and saying money is not important, the people say money is not important, actually thinking about money and worrying about money and working
Exactly.
and hate people with money.
Yes, that's the thing. That's the
No,
thing.
money is not important.
And a lot of times, I think, when you are worrying about money, even your decisions are going to be influenced by the fact
Yes.
that you're worried about money.
Yes.
So you're doing the job that you hate
Yes.
because you want to pay your bills.
Yes.
But if you are fine, it doesn't mean you should have millions. If you are fine with the fact that, there's money that can sustain me and you are fine with that,
Yeah.
then you can literally do any work,
Yes.
any work that you enjoy or that you're passionate
Absolutely.
about,
Absolutely.
And then now, how do we plant that in the future generation? Just to let them know that, you can attain wealth, it is attainable, and, it's doable. How do we plant that? You've got kids. I'm sure
Yes.
you do that.
Yes, I think the challenge now for parents now, especially, like, there's that generally how things will happen is that one generation will start the business or create the wealth, and the next one will grow it, and then the next one will destroy it. So they grow, destroy, that cycle goes that
Yes.
way, and then we almost like our parents did what they could. Then it comes to us now. When our parents said, I don't have money, you could see they didn't have. But now if you tell our kids that I don't have money, they see like, really, Dad.
My business plan wasn't good enough.
Yeah, but now to try to teach that, like, look, it's not just mean that if you got money then you can just spend it anyhow. So teaching them, like, you need to create value. You need to, people pay for value.
Of course.
And
yes.
you so add value to people. If anybody that keeps adding value always have a job, you always have money.
Absolutely.
So the mistake that a lot of people make is that, look, hire me, I'm awesome. Like, what can you do? No, I've got this degree, got this degree.
I'm a
What
quick
can
learner.
you do? Yes, I'm a quick learner. What can you do for me? So they're not solving problems for a company. You find that two people get fired and they hire one guy. Because that one guy can add value that the two people were failing to add. And just feeling that you must give me, you must give me. So changing that mentality and teaching kids and people that, look, if you're always adding value and not believing when people say, oh, the economy is bad, there is a recession. Like somebody said, when you say there is a recession, there's no money in the world, like, where's the money gone to? You know, has it evaporated?
No,
it just means that, yes,
yeah.
just like people now are a little bit more careful.
Yes.
So you need now to talk to their values. And when you talk to their values, they'll give you their money because you're solving their problem, as opposed to just saying, look, I've got this, I've got that, eat it, it's good for you, it's good for you.
Interesting. So what are you currently working on? Any future projects that you are going to be tapping onto?
Yes. So I've done education for a number of years now, and the question that has always come up is, how can I really save? And how can I really invest and make money? Because I put money in the bank for, say, 1,000 at the beginning of the year. At the end of the year, it's no longer 1,000, it's less because the fees have just chewed it, or I get my 5%. And so how can you help? And now we're working on this amazing app that incentivizes people to save and pay down debt. So we're pretty excited. I had a great meeting with a number of investors now, and we're thinking that, and the good partnerships coming along, and we're looking to launch in the next few months.
Nice, interesting.
It's exciting.
That does sound exciting. Yes. And then for people who look up to you, what advice do you have for them? You know, there's somebody sitting at home and just thinking, oh, I wanna be great, but I don't know what to do. I don't even think I've got the resources and, you know, all the connection that you have, you know. So how do you advise that kind of a person?
It starts with, actually, most people know what they want to do. So they're just afraid, thinking that what I want to do is not good enough according to. So they are giving their power to other people to decide. So you find that when you find out what do you like doing, what do you like talking about, and that, then what they like comes up. So they need to just own that, like, look, I love doing this. Right now it doesn't sound good in other people's eyes, but this is what I love doing. Then the next step is, when you know what you love doing, it needs to be what other people would love to pay for, meaning it needs to add value. If you just do what you love and nobody finds value, you just be a broke artist.
How true. True though.
Yeah. So when you add value to other people, then they'll pay. But again, don't be afraid and invest time in asking for help. A lot of times people want to help, and people are just afraid to say, but if I ask him, he won't even say, if I say hello, he won't even say hello back. But it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times, some of the things that I've done and achieved is because I didn't know I couldn't. So I just walk up to somebody, says, excuse me, Mr. So-and-so, can I have you on my new project? And then somebody says, how could you just walk up to him? Like, oh, was I not supposed to?
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
so
they're
achieved
human
that by
after
now.
all. And a lot of people help because they've also been there in your shoes. You know, they all have humble beginnings as well. And they know how difficult it is to start off, you know. So they're always willing to plant whatever it is that they have learned throughout their years, and then planting back to other new entrepreneurs as well. And then now, how do people find you?
Find my page. Got Facebook page, facebook.com/Sandras Phiri. Sandras J Phiri. You'll find me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter @Sandras Phiri, and email sandras@startupgrind.com.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, and I wish you all the best with all your projects and, you know, all your upcoming projects. From me, Beth. Pleasure. From me, Beth, dream, grind, and achieve. Have you been to Silicon Valley, and if you haven't been, would you like to go? Tell us in the comments below. Remember, we deliver weekly entrepreneurship videos to help you dream, grind and achieve. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching.